We are back, Navigant Credit Union Broadcast Center, Business Monday. I want to thank Chris from the United Nurses coming on, giving an update both on Memorial Hospital and over on the battle on trying to recover some of the funds for those retirees of the receivership-driven now pension fund at St. Joseph's Health Services. One of the greatest disappointments of my life has been that Saul Kaplan was not on last week. We welcome back Mr. Innovation. Mr. Innovation.
It's a little carried away.
Wow. And see what happens to you when you go away.
Right away.
Danger, danger, danger.
Well, innovation is a contact sport.
Innovation is a contact sport. There is so much to talk about.
Yeah, a lot going on right now.
Let's talk GE.
Okay.
I was just listening to a new CEO of GE on his conference call this morning, talking about slicing the payments to dividends to stockholders.
50%.
50% cut. Wall Street did not look kindly
No,
upon that.
apparently not.
The stock dropped about 10%.
Looked like it was 7% when I just checked it.
So they are, I believe, I read the statistic, they are the worst performing S&P 500 company in the past 12 months.
Yeah. No, it wasn't good.
So the rest of the market is up and away, and GE is floundering. How in God's name could this happen to the company who was on the cover of Forbes, Fortune, you name it, for decades as best brand reputation, most innovative company, you name the accolade, GE piled them up. What happened to
Well,
this
first
company?
of all, you're John Flannery today. Like, welcome to the new CEO position. You go through like all CEOs do when they take over. We're going to use this opportunity. It's my one shot to right-size this company, to get the cost structure right, to make some bold changes. And usually the market responds pretty favorably to that kind of move, but not anymore.
No.
He got greeted, as you say, today with this plan with it looked like about 7% continued erosion, of the stock price. So something else is going on here with GE. I'm going to say that just because you're the innovator one day doesn't mean you're the innovator tomorrow. You have got to always be on what's next, and innovating in GE is thought of as an industrial company, and as hard as the previous CEO, Jeff Immelt, tried to position them as a digital company, which gets a lot of attention on Wall Street, they weren't buying. And they didn't move fast enough. So the short answer is they didn't get to what's next fast enough. Now they have to pay the price. They've got to get this thing right-sized. But I think the thing that John Flannery has to do now is not just tell us how he's going to get the assets and the cost structure and the dividend level, right, and the headcount level right. He's got to be able to passionately describe what's next. What's the future vision for this company? Because until he can do that, and to do it credibly, and then show evidence that they're moving in that path, Wall Street's not going to value them, as a darling digital high-tech company. They're going to value them, as an industrial company that's losing competitive position. And this is a big company. It's not easy to turn the Queen Mary.
330,000 as of a few weeks ago. I don't know what the count is now, but 330,000 worldwide employees. Announcements today, you can't even keep up with them, and they're not all out. The new Boston headquarters is going to take
implications.
25% headcount cut. The digital division is going to get slashed from an annual budget of $2.1 billion down $400 million is some of the data that's coming out. Some of their core business, like railroad, some are reporting that will be jettisoned. So it was, I listened to probably about 45 minutes of the call, and it was a little confusing as to your point, what's the core business now?
No.
Is it
I didn't hear it.
is it a hodgepodge of things that look profitable today and might be
Yep.
profitable tomorrow? Or is there a strategic direction of this is going to be the best manufacturing company in the world? It's going to be the best healthcare company, whatever it might be.
Right.
It was difficult to
I didn't hear it.
extract that.
I read some things today, and I didn't hear what's next, and I think that's what the market is reacting to. He's going to be strong operationally. Of course, we give him credit for being able to go through the portfolio of businesses and looking at them, either through the rear view mirror or even like predictable projections of earnings, right? If you do it in a traditional way, you could get this company to where it would be an interesting, very large industrial conglomerate, but that's not good enough anymore, right? So what would really worry me, and what I think we should be looking at, is where's the story of what's next? So you talk about the digital division,
Right.
which was the promise for how are we going to get to the Internet of Things? How are we going to go from an industrial company to a company that creates assets that connect to the internet and are smart and have value, and can do more than the traditional products could do.
Right.
And they were building that, and Immelt was going crazy trying to make that happen. Now costs got out of control. It didn't happen fast enough.
Yeah.
But at least there was a future-facing vision, for this company. I mean, John Flannery is going to have to do that in short order, or the value is going to continue to erode. And it means something, to not only shareholders of this company, but you reference what's happening here locally. The headquarters up in Boston. I read the account, through the lens of the Boston stakeholders.
Yeah, right.
This thing is delayed now.
Right.
They were going to make a huge commitment. They're still saying the commitment's real, but they've delayed it.
Right.
Right. So now it's 2 years pushed back. If they're actually taking out resources from the digital division, and not integrating a digital story that can command a different multiple of their stock price.
Yeah.
Right. What is it?
Right.
And I didn't hear it today.
Let's jump over because there's literally so much to discuss. Reuters, I believe, might have been Bloomberg, said that the race is on by CVS and Aetna
Yep.
to have this deal done by the end of the year, pending federal regulatory review. But that the core deal will be done by the end of the year. That's wildly ambitious. We're about 6 weeks away.
Yeah.
This is about as complex a deal. It's the 11th largest deal
Yeah.
in business in the world in the last 10 years.
Yeah. No, it's an amazing. It's an amazing deal. Yeah.
Where's that planning group? Are they in Woonsocket?
Well, I
could we put a Go Local Live camera on them,
Oh,
trying
there
to
you go.
whiteboard
Yeah.
what this new company will look like?
Well, based on what I read, I think this is a bold move. This is a game changer. This is trying to reshape the marketplace. This is CVS playing offense and not just sitting back and watching, what Jeff Bezos and Amazon is doing to the retail business. This is saying we're going to change the game. This is CVS Health being a market maker.
Yep.
What does it really mean to be a healthcare company? How do we add new revenue sources, new products and services, change the value equation so that we can play with those parts to really change what's happening with us as patients, as families, right? To disrupt the healthcare industry. And they have a track record historically of being a disruptor and creating a lot of value.
Right.
So I don't know the details, but I'm really excited about a bold strategic move, which isn't just one of these horizontal integration plays where they're just getting bigger with the same.
No, this is a vertical
This is
way.
a vertical integration, which is sometimes harder to understand where the value is going to come from, but this is where the opportunity is. Contrast that, I'm sure you saw this week that Hasbro is going to take another swing at Mattel.
Yep.
Something they haven't done in a while.
But I think the last
Yep,
time was
yep.
about 20 years ago. It was Mattel trying to scoop up Hasbro. But
Yeah, so I mean, it's not a new conversation,
Yeah.
but it's a traditional conversation. It says, how do we take the
Let me
two
just-
biggest players in the toy business
Right.
and put them together?
We'll
right?
go to those. I just want to stay on CVS and
Okay.
Aetna. It was very interesting. Aetna's stock spiked after the announcement.
Yep.
CVS's dipped a bit. Now CVS's
back.
has recovered,
Right.
but Aetna's kept the values. Wall Street seems to really like this deal
Yeah.
and see it as you've described it as de
Right.
facto. It's a game changer. They're
Yeah.
going to compete. They're not going to, cry. They're not going to complain. So much of business seems to be complaining about market modernization. So many in our industry complain about Facebook and Google. Facebook and Google are the greatest things that ever happened to digital news. I mean, I don't know where the complaint is. And if you can't figure out how to monetize, there's enough money there for a lot of people to monetize and create value for your advertiser.
Wall Street was very proactive in terms of discounting the share price of retailers, right? Because of the anticipation of what Amazon might do. Right? It hadn't happened yet, but it's an anticipation of what might happen in the future, which is what a stock price really is.
Right.
So if you want to change that game, you need to put a different narrative out there about what the future holds. If you're playing defense, right? If you're talking about ways that you're going to put, regulatory moats, around Amazon coming in and entrenching the business, the market doesn't believe that. They don't believe that narrative for the future. So what CVS done is created a narrative for the future. We need to see more of the details of that. But the market views that positively. So both the share prices of both Aetna and CVS, are now up, right? Which is a good countervailing play to
the future of that.
The future of what Amazon might do. And this is why Wall Street likes it.
You worked at Commerce, then Economic Development Corporation. Listen, there's only so many deals you can do, right? It's amazing how much time and energy has been put into a company, the Pawtucket Red Sox, that has less than 30 full-time employees. Are we missing the boat on much bigger opportunities and really a growth economy of, forget the Paw Sox, like enough's enough? If you're over at Commerce right now, probably the number one thing you should be worrying about right this second is what's going to happen in the future of CVS and how you can communicate that we're here to be partners with you and create an environment in which you can help grow your company to the level that you want to.
Well, first of all, I can't resist saying we should have and still should do the Paw Sox deal. We shouldn't spend so much time talking about it because it's kind of a no-brainer deal. Having said that, yes.
Well, you're in that super rich one
stop.
1/100th of 1%. I saw John Hazen White came out. So there was a millionaire endorsing the billionaires. Here's another millionaire endorsing the
Only
billionaires.
in Rhode Island do we spend this much time debating this thing. Any other time, if it wasn't for 38 studios, this deal would have gone through. This is one of the best deals of its kind anywhere in the country, and only us in Rhode Island, could snatch defeat from the victory.
Millionaires for billionaires. That is the new.
Oh, stop!
I think you should pick it.
Okay, now let's get back to the.
I think you should all park your Lexuses, Mercedes, BMWs. Some of you have Bentleys right out here in front of Go Local, and hire some people to picket us.
This is what I'm talking about. Look,
let's
talk about the substance of this. But let's go to the core of your question here. Yes, in Rhode Island, we should be positioning our community as an enabler of what's next. Whether we're talking to GE or we're talking to Amazon,
we should
or we're
give
working
Larry
with
Merlo
CVS.
the Paw Sox.
Right. It has nothing to do with the Paw Sox. Right. It has everything to do with a place that enables innovation. It enables what's next. Because if we are strong and we're helping companies do it, whether it's a company already here like CVS Health or a company thinking about a new place to be like Amazon or GE that's said they're going to make a small investment here to try to get them to grow that investment, the way to do it is to be in the conversation about what's next. If you're still in the conversation about how do we help you manage the cost structure of your business, that is yesterday's news. You have to do it. It's necessary but not sufficient. You've got to be able to talk about what's unique about Rhode Island that helps CVS Health actually make the offensive play, right, to create entire new business models and ways to deliver value to first Rhode Islanders, because we're the place that you can experiment to do it.
Right.
But then it's not about Rhode Island. It's about exporting the ideas, the practices, the models around the country and and around the world. That's how we create a stronger economy. That's how we create higher wage jobs and ladders to a pathway where we can afford to live in New England and in a high-cost place to do business. It's the same story in all these cases. We should be tuning our story and then backing our story up with the ability to deliver on our promise. What does it actually mean to make Rhode Island a place where you can innovate? Not just inventing some new technology, but changing the way we solve problems in our community and deliver real value to citizens, consumers, patients, students. If we can really deliver on that promise, it doesn't matter that we're small.
Yep.
That takes our size and it turns it into an advantage, because it's credible to say that we could do that here in Rhode Island. And there's not much risk in doing the exploration here. If we are about the lively experiment, let's actually mean it, and let's deliver the tools and the capabilities to be able to do it.
Let's jump over to Hasbro and Mattel.
Sure.
Hasbro's been on a great roll for the past few years. They have
Yep.
reinvented their entire business model
They have.
over the past
They have.
5 to 10
Yeah,
years.
they're a
And
media and storytelling company now, more than
Correct.
they are a board game,
Right.
and
Made
hard
plastic
hard
toys over in
But
China.
it's the story around the toys.
Yeah.
It's the way that becomes a transmedia across platforms. We have the board game, we have the movie, we have the television show, we
Right.
have the mobile video app, right? If you can take that story and stretch it across those platforms, and you're absolutely right, it's been really wonderful to watch Hasbro move down that business model innovation path. It's not easy,
Yeah.
right? You know, it's easy for me to stand here and yak about it. It's really hard to do, and Hasbro's been on that path. Now here comes, maybe we should buy Mattel. Right. And so my question is, tell me how that's strategic. Tell me how that enables you to continue the path to a media, in a digital media, in a storytelling company, right? And if you can tell me how Mattel adds that to that and accelerates that, but if this is just another scale play, right, you're going to have antitrust problems,
Right.
like to get the deal approved in the first place. Because you asked me before, is it feasible that CVS could go through the regulatory pathway quick? I don't know, but it is feasible.
It is
because
fine.
it's not a horizontal,
Right.
just adding scale, right, which is a clear cut, like at what point is it anti-competitive, right? This is a new way of thinking about it. It's a much more tricky conversation, down in Washington, right? In order to do it, what's the argument, for Hasbro and Mattel, unless you can take that story and make it not about, being this behemoth, traditional toy manufacturer.
One thing that was interesting was, and maybe it's the brilliance of Jeff Bezos, and maybe it's partially the Trump administration of how they're going to look at antitrust issues, but that Amazon Whole Foods deal went through federal review in about 7 seconds and got approval. I would assume that in both these cases, CVS and in Hasbro, they've done some pre-planning and they have a good expectation. Obviously, in the healthcare realm, there's some complexity to it.
But everybody's watching the Time Warner deal
Absolutely.
for the exact opposite reason.
Right, that's right. Right. The
You
president.
you need to get rid of CNN. Why? Like, what is that about?
Let's just go back to Hasbro for a second. Is this a danger to Rhode Island? Bring it home. Big California company, Hasbro's really become an entertainment company in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Do you run the risk of those guys saying, hey, listen, we love Providence and we love Pawtucket, we love East Providence, but where they make movies and TV shows and where the networks are is out in California. We're going to pick up all those functions and ship them out there and really take advantage of our global reach.
Well, two things. One, always better to be the acquirer
Yep.
rather than the acquired.
Yep.
Right? For too long, we've had companies here in Rhode Island that
100%.
got acquired and had no influence, leverage,
Fleet
or
was
control.
fun when
Right?
Fleet was buying up every single bank on
That
the
was
East
good.
Coast.
Yeah.
When it went and got acquired
Right.
by Bank of America, it was less fun for Rhode Island,
So being
AKA.
so being the acquirer, right, playing offense rather than defense is always the right answer.
Yep.
So on the surface, I would say much better to have Hasbro out on the hunt and being in a financial position to make an acquisition.
Yeah.
Right? Now, we've already talked about making sure that there's a what's next story there and it's strategic, right? Not just taking cost out of the combined, toy company, although
Yeah.
I'm sure there'll be some of that if it were to happen. In terms of Rhode Island,
Yeah.
the same thing is always true. If Rhode Island wants to improve the chances of having companies here, one, it should have more companies that are playing offense and doing the acquiring. Two, we need to be relevant strategically. If what Hasbro is trying to do is make the transformation, from traditional toy manufacturer to entertainment, media, digital, company, like a lot of companies are, what is it about Rhode Island that's strategic, not just about the tax structure and the costs, right? Although we should do better on those things, but what is the thing, that gets Brian excited about what Hasbro is trying to do and how Rhode Island enables that, so that if they do go out and make an acquisition, if they were to buy, Mattel, that we're going to be strategic to the future of that combined company, right? You've got to get out ahead of that, because if you aren't, right, you're absolutely right. Someone who's done a better job of positioning it strategically is going to win, right? We can't allow that to happen. We have to play offense as a community to make sure we've given companies the strategic reason for investing in Rhode Island, not just the cost and regulation reason.
Well, listen, whatever reason is fueling Boston's growth is young, smart people by the plenty. Down here, we have young, smart people by the plenty. Our obligation now is to create a scenario in which they stay here. Instead of being one of the highest exporters of smart young college grads, 70% of them leave Rhode Island. Let's start being one of the top states and retaining
Totally.
them.
Totally.
And that's a significant
I've always
opportunity.
said that it's not, it's,
But also understand that this is not, I think we think the world is flat too often. If Boston doesn't get GE, they may want to try and get CVS or get Hasbro or some of these other companies.
the game never stops.
The game never stops.
You have to constantly do it. And I've always said, even talking about brain drain is a high-class problem to have.
Yeah,
Do you know how many communities don't
Right.
have the brain power that we have here? Like, thank goodness we actually have that brain power here. You want to keep that brain power here, give them more reasons to stay.
Yeah.
Create tighter connections, create more strategic reasons for individuals to be here. Why should they be here?
Right.
Where's the opportunity set for them, right? You work on that, people will stay,
Yeah.
right? That's always true. Or they'll go and they'll come back because they love it here, right?
Right.
Where else would you want to live?
And we've got Tom Brady. Right.
There you go.
Last issue, most important, your predictions for the URI Rams this season.
Oh my
Basketball
goodness!
team.
Oh my goodness! This will jinx them, I'm sure. Like you're not supposed to ask
this
me
a
that.
Final Four,
You're not supposed to
Sweet
ask me that
16?
on air. Oh, boy! At the beginning of the season, it's awfully promising. I always get nervous, when I see their pictures on the covers of stories.
Right.
I always get uncomfortable when I hear the predictions because, as a URI fan for a lot of years, we've been watching this program and rooting for this program and waiting. They've had a couple
If
of
Irv
breaks.
Chapman had
but-
just not gone over the back of
But I did say at home the other night, we got to go get tickets for that PC game down at the Ryan Center, because that thing will sell out.
like
so
7
we,
seconds,
We got to
yeah.
go. I'm optimistic. I think this program is really gaining momentum and strength. They'll need some breaks to go their way, but they should be a very solid player, into the A10 championship, and on.
I'm
to
looking
the
for a
NCAAs.
prediction.
What?
Sweet 16 or Final Four?
Well, let's just say they should go to the dance, and they should have won that game last year. So let's give them credit for at least
Just
a
one
win
more
or two wins.
timeout. Just
right?
one more timeout.
There you go.
As always, I want to thank Saul Kaplan for being back on Business
my
Monday.
goodness.
I also tell him to stay safe when he's not on Business Monday. I want to thank Chris from the United Nurses for coming on, talking about the complexity of Memorial Hospital and the St. Joseph's Pension Fund. Thank everybody for tuning in. Tomorrow, Ava Gaudette with Arts and Entertainment, and then Kate Nagel back talking about news and politics. Want to thank everybody for tuning in. Safe drive home. If you're listening in the car on your iPhone, be careful, and we'll see everybody tomorrow. Thank you.